Welcome back, and thank you for staying with us. Well, next up, we're talking about homeschooling and how to know if it's a right decision for you and your child, and maybe some steps to take to get some understanding of what that is and how to get there. Annalisa Moats joins me with some details about what worked for her and her family. Good morning and welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
So, first off, tell me, you have how many kids and and do you homeschool all of them?
I do. I have two children, a 16-year-old and a 13-year-old, and I've homeschooled from the beginning with them.
Okay, so what was that decision? How did you come into saying this is what we want to do with our family?
Well, my former spouse and I always thought that we would homeschool our children, but when the Columbine High School shooting happened, it was the first big sort of thing in our area, and our son was 9 months old at that time, and we just decided for our family we were going to homeschool our children.
So what's that, how do you know where to look, what's the process in finding information on, or let alone setting up a homeschool situation?
Well, I attend a church with several homeschooling families, so they sort of guided me along the process in the beginning. But the internet has so much fabulous resources there for you. I spent lots of hours researching and late into the night just trying to figure out what curriculum was out there and what was available to me. So we ended up on a few different things. At first, I was a nervous Nellie, just trying to figure it all out. But I ended up, when the children were small, with a program called Abeka, and I chose that program because it was an entire kit. It had a parent kit with it, and it had a child kit with it. So it had the entire lesson plan already figured out for you. But I ventured out later on and picked several other things. Barnes & Noble has lots of workbooks that you can look at. The Educational Supply Store in Fruitland has plenty of workbooks that even go up to 8th grade. So lots of stuff out there.
And so how does it work? Do you set a schedule for your children? And you start with the day. Is it a typical school day? Is every day the same? Talk to us a little bit about, with the curriculum that you've chosen, how you've outlined their day and their lesson plans.
It can be a typical school day if you would like it to be, but I work part-time, so in the beginning I was able to stay home with the children, but then I got a part-time job and I worked the afternoons, and we homeschooled in the morning, which is great with homeschooling because you can do a lot of teaching in a short amount of time because you have that one-on-one with your children, so you don't need a 6-hour day to accomplish the same amount of schooling that you possibly could do in public schooling.
Now, when Annalisa and I met, and I found out that she was a homeschool mom, she asked me, what do you think the biggest question is, that's the most asked question about homeschooling? And I said, what about their socialization? And she said, yes, that is indeed the question that is most often asked. So I ask you, for the people who are still thinking, well, it's just you and your two kids all the time, every day. What about their socialization?
Oh, I got that question so many times when the children were younger, but I have a wise friend who once told me, you know, we're not raising children, we're raising adults. Which is true, and I agree with that statement. So when the kids were little, they always went with me everywhere. We went to the post office together, in the grocery store, in the library, where they were around well-behaved adults at all times, and so they learned how to behave as an adult would behave. But there were plenty of other opportunities for them to be around other children. There's homeschool co-ops and sports leagues, there's 4-H programs, YMCA, the Crown Sports Center has activities going on, there's dance classes and field trips and neighborhood kids, you know, and church friends. And I've never seen a child have trouble making friends, you know, it's easy to do.
And that's what kids do. I mean, if they see other kids and they want to get in on the play. So I think homeschooled or public school or private school kids tend to navigate to other kids, even if it takes them a little more time, just depending on the child's personality anyway.
Yes.
So, and your kids
right.
have fared well, I imagine.
I feel that they have. I feel, you know, I may be biased, but I feel like I've raised responsible, respectable, you know, kind, smart children. My son is 16 now, and he works at Maya Bella's Pizzeria right here downtown. And he's actually going to graduate a year ahead of his peers. He'll be coming up on his junior year, but his senior year he only has English as one more credit. So he's going to go ahead and take 2 classes of English in his junior year and just eliminate that senior year altogether. Graduate early. Okay. And my daughter's 13. She's very artistic and creative. She makes her own earrings and certified babysitter, and she's just kind to everyone she meets. So.
Was there an opportunity ever for them to say, I want to go to public school? Was that discussion had, or had they just kind of gotten in the routine of this is what we'll do?
There was that discussion, especially after the divorce. I even had family members who said, you know, you should give it up. You should go to work full time and you should put your kids in school. But they had already been through the trauma of divorce and had never been to public school, and I just felt like it would be best if they could stay home with me through that transition time. And I tried to live within my means, and I got a part-time job and was able, like I said, to work in the afternoons and homeschool in the mornings. Now I work 3 10-hour shifts during the summer, but in the school year I do tend it back a little bit. But they're teenagers and they know what's required of them with homeschooling, and they kind of self-teach themselves. So
Okay.
I monitor what they're doing, but for the most part they know what's required of them.
And we have about 15 seconds left, and you even said that there are some things that you've been able to incorporate with your children. They're free activities at the university.
Yes, Salisbury University puts out this great color brochure panorama with lots of free things for the kids to get into. There's a Renaissance joust, and there's free choral concerts and instrumental concerts that you can go to, and just really take advantage of the university that we have here with us.
All right. Thank you so much,
Thank you so
Annalisa,
much
for
for
just
having
sharing
me.
and what your experience has been, and maybe you've helped a parent who's thinking about, I'm just not ready to send my kid to school yet, public school, and this may be a route for them. So thanks for sharing with us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we have more good things coming up. Stay with us. We'll be right back.